Our camera absolutely gave up in the middle of filming this. This is our second time filming it, so wish us luck. YouTube is hard. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Tangle system. For one of our first videos, we wanted to make sort of like a video dictionary filled with terms that we'll use throughout the channel. If you're someone that already has a dissociative disorder and you know these terms, then great. This video is definitely more for people that are new to the D.I.D community and that are looking to be educated on what these terms mean. In the future, we'll try to put this video below every single one of our videos to use as like a glossary to come back and refresh these terms. These terms are words that we will use in every single video and that we use in our daily lives. So with that said, let's, sorry. Okay. Side note, we have an alter in our system who is a caretaker, and she very much has like a school teacher like personality. We like to compare her to Miss Honey. So she's very close in the front, and she might end up fronting later. It's becoming hard to stay in the body right now. Okay, we'll just continue and see what happens. With that said, let's get to our first term. So the first term that we have is D.I.D. D.I.D stands for Dissociative Identity Disorder. It is a disorder that is recognized in the DSM, and there are certain criteria that one has to meet to be diagnosed with D.I.D. We'll put a link down below of what the criteria is exactly and how it differs from other dissociative disorders. Speaking of other dissociative disorders, our next term is OSDD. OSDD stands for Otherwise Specified Dissociative Disorder. Because OSDD is kind of just a conglomerate of different dissociative disorders, there are different OSDDs that are classified by putting a dash and then a number. Our system has OSDD-1. We'll include a link down below of what the other OSDDs are. OSDD-1 is defined as basically almost D.I.D, except there are certain criteria that doesn't meet the specifications that are required to be diagnosed with D.I.D. And there are two different versions of OSDD-1, A and B. In OSDD-1A, it's basically D.I.D, except there's the lack of distinct alters. So what do I mean by distinct alters? In D.I.D and OSDD-1B, when one switches between personalities, there are clear, distinct changes in personalities. These alters can have very different accents, they can have very different syntax, genders, etc. With OSDD-1A, there are still alters, however, they are much more covert. They don't have such bright and different personalities as D.I.D and OSDD-1B. In OSDD-1B, which is what we have, it's almost the same as D.I.D except with amnesia. In D.I.D and OSDD-1A, there's a lot of amnesia in between alters and switches. Someone with D.I.D may not remember exactly what an alter did 5 minutes ago, or they may not know about the existence of another alter. With OSDD-1B, the way I like to explain it is that every single one of my alters has encyclopedic knowledge of my life and the lives of everyone else in our system. There may not be strong emotional responses attached to these alters, but they know what's going on. So by now you've probably heard me say the word alter a lot. What does that mean? Alter technically stands for alternate personality. It is the alternate personality states that we have in dissociative disorders. You've definitely heard me say the word headmate in other videos. That's because we prefer that. We'll use them interchangeably, but we prefer the term headmate. It doesn't seem as clinical to us. Our next term is system. It's in the title of our channel. What is a system? A system is defined as a group of headmates or alters. It is the collective that is held in the head of someone with a dissociative disorder. Now we'll kind of go through a list of different roles of headmates in a system. We won't touch on all of them yet. We'll definitely mention the most important ones to us. So first, what's a host? Well, I'm a host, but that doesn't mean anything to you. A host is the main alter, or in some cases alters, that fronts the most. They are the ones that usually perform daily routines in life. And sometimes that can be multiple headmates. For our system, it's getting to the point where Emerson is fronting so much that they are most likely a co-host. What is a little? A little is a really young alter, usually between the ages of 3 to 9. They are children, and we'll definitely talk about that more in a video. Oh. Well, I have Emma's notes and they look good. Okay. Yeah, I can do this. Hello, YouTube. My name's Laurie, and I'm the caretaker of the system. I really enjoy helping others learn about things, so that's why I'm here. So I believe that Emma was talking last about protectors. A protector is simply someone whose role is to protect the system. When the system's in danger or suspects any kind of harm, sexually, emotionally, physically, a protector will usually come out and help the system. We also wanted to discuss the terms multiple versus singlet. A multiple is someone who has D.I.D or OSDD, someone that has a system, versus a singlet is someone that does not have a system and only has their personality. So a singlet would be someone that's not diagnosed with a dissociative disorder. What is our inner world or headspace? They both essentially mean the same thing, and it's the world that our system uses to communicate with each other inside of our head. So in the future, we'd love to map it out for you and show you what our inner world looks like. What is fronting or co-fronting? Fronting is when someone steps forward and takes control of a body. So myself, Laurie, I am fronting right now. A couple of minutes ago, Emma was just fronting. Co-fronting can also happen, and that is when multiple headmates are fronting at the same time. What is co-conscious, or as we usually call it, co-con? It is the experience and sensation of multiple alters experiencing life at the same time. I know personally for our system, we tend to be co-con most of the time. What is a switch? This is the act of changing who is in control of the body. One can also say that they're feeling switchy, and that means that they feel like a switch is coming or they're in the middle of a switch. What is feeling blurry? This sensation can be very, very different for systems. It varies a lot. But the idea is essentially not knowing who's in control of the body. It can be so many alters fronting that one has no idea who it is. Or it could be a new alter that you're not used to yet. So maybe you've come to this point of this video and you're wondering, what even is dissociation? We use that term so much and maybe you don't know exactly what it is yet. Well, dissociation is very common. In fact, singlets dissociate on the daily. There's just a point and a threshold where it becomes so extreme that it becomes a problem, hence dissociative disorders. Dissociation is the experience of feeling disconnected from one's surroundings or themselves. Within dissociation, there are two different subsets, and they're called derealization and depersonalization. Derealization is the feeling that things around someone are not real. Meanwhile, depersonalization is the sensation that one is not real. So your body may not feel like your own, your mind may not feel like your own. There's a sensation where you may look in the mirror and not recognize who's in the mirror. What is dissociative amnesia? Amnesia comes in many forms in dissociative disorders, and it happens pretty much to everyone. However, again, it comes in many different forms. As I believe Emma mentioned before, she told you the differences in between D.I.D and OSDD, saying in some there's amnesia and in some there's not. That's between switches. Usually, most systems have amnesia in one or multiple alters that are blocking out some memories that the body doesn't need to know. This can often be trauma. For example, our system has many alters that do not know about the trauma because they do not need to know. However, there are a few alters that hold the trauma for us. What are fictives and introjects? A fictive is a fictional headmate. It is the personality of a fictional character. There tends to be some controversy around fictives, but they're just as valid as every other alter in one system. Similar to fictives, an introject is a copy of a personality from one's life. This can be a positive personality, perhaps a teacher or a loved one, or it can stem from negative trauma, such as abusers. What is a persecutor? A persecutor is a headmate that holds or expresses negative emotions. These negative emotions often come out in lashes and in non-conventional ways of protection. However, the main goal is to protect the body. That is why they are there. In the future, we will absolutely talk more about persecutors because they tend to be quite complex. And our last term for the list today is split. No, it is not that horrible movie with James McAvoy that is a terrible misrepresentation of D.I.D. Split simply means it's the creation of an alter. This happens either in the years that D.I.D. is formed as a child, or it can happen in the event of an onset of trauma after one has experienced the onset of D.I.D. If one developed D.I.D. or OSDD as a child, systems can always continue to grow in the future with splits. So that is our very informative video for today. We very much appreciate you watching and listening. It was a pleasure to be able to talk to you today. We'd really appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribe. You can even leave us a comment down below. I'm sure I'll be back to introduce myself in the Headmate roll call series, so I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.